No, 496. 496. I think Navi was also similar kind of beginning.
प्रविश्य मम वाचम् इमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधर्मा सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् ध्रुव उवाच योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्यखिल शक्तिधरः स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् What? Dhruva Vacha. Dhruva Maharaj said, yeah, the Supreme Lord who Antaha, within, Pravishya, entering, Mama, my, Vacham, words, Imam, all these, Prasuptam, which are all inactive or dead, Sanjeevayati, rejuvenates, Akila, universal, Shakti, energy, Daraha, possessing, Swadhamna, by his internal potency, Anyancha, other limbs also. Hasta, like hands. Charana, legs. Shravana, ears. Tvak, skin. Adin, and so on. Pranan, life force. Namaha, let me offer my obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purushaya, the Supreme Person. Tubhyam, unto you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhruva Maharaj said, my dear Lord, you are all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses, my hands, legs, ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very easily the difference between his condition before and after attaining the spiritual realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He could understand that his life force and activities had been sleeping. Unless one comes to the spiritual platform, his bodily limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as a dead man's activities or ghostly activities. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has composed a song in which he addresses himself. O living entity, get up. How long shall you sleep on the lap of Maya? Now you have the opportunity of possessing a human form of body. Now try to get up and realize yourself. The Vedas are also declare, get up, get up. You have the opportunity, the boon of the human form of life. Now realize yourself. These are the Vedic injunctions. Dhruva Maharaj actually experienced that upon enlightenment of his senses on the spiritual platform, he could understand the essence of Vedic instruction that the Supreme Godhead is the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. Dhruva Maharaj could immediately understand this fact. He was aware that for a very long time he was practically sleeping, and he felt the impetus to glorify the Lord according to the Vedic conclusion. A mundane person cannot offer any prayer or glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he has no realization of the Vedic conclusion. When Dhruva Maharaj, therefore, found this difference within himself, he could immediately understand that it was because of the causeless mercy of the Lord. He offered obeisances to the Lord with great respect and reverence, completely understanding that the Lord's favor was upon him. This spiritual enlivenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, the word Swadhamna means by spiritual energy. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord, Hare. This spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevonmukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to him. Without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction of the material energy. When one is actually enlivened by the spiritual energy, all his senses become purified and he engages only in the service of the Lord. At that time, his hands, legs, ears, tongue, mind, genitals, everything engage in the service of the Lord. Such an enlightened devotee no longer has any material activities, nor has he any interest in being materially engaged. This process of purifying the senses and engaging them in the service of the Lord is known as bhakti or devotional service. In the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction of the spiritual master and Shastra. And after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning, the senses are engaged in a mechanical way. But after realization, they are engaged in spiritual understanding. ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोन् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणान् श्रीविशाखान्वितां हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरों दीनतारिणं Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to beg forgiveness from all of you who is listening over the Zoom, because exalted devotees say out of humility that actually speaking, I am not at all qualified to sit and then speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. I would like to just seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas here and online, so that whatever I speak, at least I can apply into my life for my own purification. Just try to repeat whatever the senior devotees and acharyas have mentioned about the subject matter on this particular verse. So, so actually, a fool is only known when he opens the mouth, just like that. When I speak, then you'll understand who I am. There is no realization. There is absolutely no realization, but just repeating like a parrot here. Yesterday, after hearing the wonderful class by Yugal Kishore Prabhu about the mercy of the Lord, especially how we can see the mercy of the Lord in our lives, right? Now, just looking at the context here, how Dhruv Maharaj, by the mercy of the spiritual master, he got the process and the mantra, and by his sincerity and determination, he has invoked the mercy of the Lord, and within 6 months the Lord appeared. And when the Lord appeared, now looking at the previous verses, what happened? Dhruva Maharaj wants to glorify the Supreme Lord. But he could not glorify the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have any words to glorify the Supreme Lord. Right? By looking at his condition, Supreme Lord actually placed the conch, just touched the conch on the head of the Dhruva Maharaj. As soon as he touched, so what happened? He got enlightenment. That enlightenment, he could understand what is material, what is spiritual, right? Who is the living entity, who is the Supreme Lord, and what is our position. So he could understand the essence of all the Vedic conclusion. So now, just looking at the mercy that he has received, right? So he has received the mercy from the Supreme Lord. So looking at the purport, how Srila Prabhupada is giving the information, how he could get the mercy of the Lord um, through the internal potency of the Lord. Only we can get the spiritual energy. Just to remind, this particular garland is coming from Srimati Radharani, the internal potency of the Lord. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the internal potency of the Lord, we cannot even stay in the spiritual association and the spiritual understanding. That is what Srila Prabhupada is writing here. So he is mentioning about how the enlivener of the senses, how the Supreme Lord can enliven our spiritual senses. We are all experiencing various things in this world through our material senses, their bodily demands. Look at, unless one comes to the spiritual platform, his bodily limbs, mind, and other facilities within the body are understood to be sleeping. Unless one is spiritually situated, all his activities are taken as a dead man's activities or ghostly activities. So if we are not in a spiritual understanding, spiritual platform, then actually our activities are just like dead man's activity. So this always reminds the predicament that we are in, and the purpose of our life. Especially Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about the perfection of human form of life, how we can perfect this human form of life. After attaining this human form of life, after millions and millions of lifetimes, one comes to this human form. But after coming to the human form, if we are not utilizing this human form to go back to the Godhead and to attain the love for Krishna, then whatever activities that we are doing in this world are completely futile. There is no advantage of executing our activities in a day-to-day life. We're looking at how Rishabh actually gives this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nayam deho deha vajam naloke kastan kaman arhate vid bujham ye tapo divyam putrakaye satvam suddhe yasmat brahma saukhyam tvanantam. Lord Rishabdev is telling, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. One should be completely in that understanding of just realizing the importance of human form of life. Just talking to myself, how the purpose of life is completely not understood by many people. If the purpose of life is to, our goal of this human form of life is to just have sense gratification, then why the sense gratification is stopped at the time of death? If the goal of human life is to attain money, why we cannot take that money back with us when we leave this body? If the goal of human life is to get the fame and name, why we cannot carry that at the time of death? So it is very clear the goal of life is not all these sense gratification, attaining money, attaining name and fame, all of these things. It is very clear on the Vedic conclusion. Goal of life is to purify our senses and then serve the Supreme Lord and go back to Godhead. So these are the actual goals for the human form of life. But what we try to do, completely engaging our senses in our sense gratificatory work, not realizing uh, the result of those kind of activities. Also, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about how through our um, through our prescribed duties, performing our prescribed duties, how we will not be able to um, use this human form of life and our activities if we are not invoking the attraction to hear about the Supreme Lord in our day to day activities. Whatever we try to do, we're completely engrossed in those activities. But if those activities are not getting or giving the attraction for the Supreme Lord's name, form, and qualities, then the whole um, activities that we are doing, morning till evening, everything is completely useless. Srama eva kevalam. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that. Just to understand how one should be taking this concept of mercy. When the Supreme Lord is showing the mercy, he has to give the mercy, then only we can understand. Even for material things also, he has to give his mercy. Otherwise, we cannot even walk. Yesterday, beautiful conversations happened. We will not be able to breathe, actually. Srila Prabhupada writes the fourth canto, where this material education not only removing the God, and it is actually removing, forgetting the mercy of the Lord completely. In other words, for us to live, we have to get favor of the Supreme Lord at every step. Without the Supreme Lord's mercy, we cannot even walk, we cannot even breathe, cannot continue our daily activities. But because of this material education, where it completely removes, there is no need of God and there is no need of God's mercy. That's how everything is happening. People try to travel different planets, wants to go different planets and experience the space. There's a lot of endeavor to go there, and this person, all the Musk and Bezos are investing a lot of things there. But he was telling, before this mission is successful, a lot of people have to die. A lot of people have to die. He was very casually saying, and the people are lined up for going to the space just to experience that, right? There is He is telling you have to die literally, but still people are trying to go and pursue this kind of activities. Last month, a couple of months ago, all the California fires, when His Holiness Radhanasam Maharaj saying, the California people, they know that these fires will happen there. Not that they don't know. They know, and still they live in that place only. They know that anytime the whole the section of that land will completely submerge in the ocean. Its warnings are there, tsunamis will come, everything. But still, they want to be in that space. They want to be enjoying in that space. They cannot come out of that. All unnecessary activities where we don't understand the mercy of the Lord. If we understand the mercy of the Lord, then we always have this question: how why these things are happening? And the materialist, when they have any problem in their life, they always think this is a part of life, or there is nothing that they can think of God. When the same things happen to the devotees, we are always considering, okay, the Supreme Lord is giving this kind of a situation through this problem or anything like that. Because mercy we always consider as uh, whatever good, good things happen, only we consider many of the times we consider as mercy. But even if the Lord is not giving, also that is also mercy. Pankajangir Prabhu, one time he was mentioning uh, at how the worship of Narsingadev came, like Radha Madhav are always uh, keeping all the souls in engaging all the souls in their services to get the bliss. But when you cannot dance in Krishna's pastimes, when you cannot perform activities in Krishna's pastimes, I have this problem, I have that problem. That's how Lord Narsingadev comes. No, we don't ask Krishna, hey, I have this problem, I have that problem. We have to go and ask. Narsingadev will set you right, so that again you will come back and perform your activities. But he also mentions that Narsingadev is supremely independent. When he is supremely independent, not that everything that you're asking will be removed immediately from the Supreme Lord. So he is going to respond in his own way. So you have to wait. You cannot expect that, okay, I am trying to pray, so now my Lord, please remove this. And Supreme Lord is going to respond on his own way. He will not do anything immediately. When he desires, he will do it. When we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, Ananya Sintayanto Mam Yejana Paribhashate Tesham Nitya Yuktatnam. When he's saying that, Krishna, I will take care of all the things for you. I was reading the purport, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada is writing. We don't need to, ask anything, the Supreme Lord. This is the prayers of Jambudvipa. Mother Lakshmi is telling that. Because, hey, you don't need to ask the Supreme Lord actually. Why? Because he is sitting in your heart already and he knows everything. And why you guys go and ask the Supreme Lord? He knows already what is happening in your heart. And then immediately after that, Prabhupada is quoting another verse. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udara. And that shloka is quoted. I was reading the purports. First, Prabhupada is writing, you don't need to ask the Supreme Lord. And second, he's asking if you have any desire, You have a no desire, you have a desire, or you have a desire for this liberation. Everything you go and ask Krishna. Then my son is asking, I'm confused now. What you are saying? My son is asking, like, can you tell me why? I'm saying, like, first of all, you don't need to ask why, because Supreme Lord is within the heart. He is actually listening everything, and he is understanding all of your desires. That is Mother Lakshmi is telling, not somebody, right? So that's why we we can pray. Um, at the same time, the Supreme Lord is also aware of what we are thinking, all those things. Right? That is that is the most important thing. But what happens when we are in the trouble? Ardo, Jigyasa, Ardadi, Jnani. The four types of people that come to Krishna. Many people, I always have this. So four types of people will come to Krishna, right? So why they cannot stay with Krishna? Krishna saying, Bahunam Janmanam. So he is telling very, very few, rare people will be coming to me. First is telling four types of people, whoever is having suffering in their life, they are going to come to Krishna. Who wants money, they'll come to Krishna. Who is inquisitive, they'll come. Jnanis also will come. But now again, Krishna is telling, there only few people will be coming. If you just understand, they will come, and then they worship, they will pray. Uh, as soon as they get the things from the Supreme Lord, again they'll forget the Lord. These four types of people, out of for especially in the people who are in suffering, and um, people who wants money. As soon as the suffering is removed, then they don't need to come to Krishna. As soon as they got the money, yes, that's it. We don't need to continue worshipping the Supreme Lord. This just understanding the mercy of the Supreme Lord in our lives is the most important thing, because without the Supreme Lord's mercy, uh, I would not have been here. How Dhruv Maharaj is able to remember his past life, how before and after, how he was and now how he is. The mercy especially comes through in the purport. Srila Prabhupada is writing Sevanmukha. So through the service to the Supreme Lord, the mercy of the Lord is coming to our life. Is it coming to only us, or is it coming to everybody? It is coming to, for everyone. Just like how sun is giving the sunshine to everyone. Supreme Lord is giving the mercy for every one of us. But if we are closing our doors and sitting inside the room, the sunshine won't come inside. Just like that, I'm trying to close all the doors as the mercy of the Lord is coming, but not awaken to that mercy. This mercy, we have to understand, without that, we cannot do anything. But just because of um, our qualification, uh, we always look for qualification. What qualification we have? Right? We try to put so many things in our resumes to get the jobs, because these are all the qualifications. Here, Dhruv Maharaj is unable to glorify the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have any words. In those situations, the Supreme Lord is giving the mercy so that he can glorify the Supreme Lord. It's because always when we feel we are qualified, then we will never get the mercy of the Supreme. Because of the perfectionists. The perfectionists have always the problem, because the perfectionists always I am better, I can do better. This is how I can do all the things. Just one pastime where this kind of a mentality, where one time Yamaraj is trying to get a soul, but what he did, he understood Yamaraj may come anytime, so then he made replicas of him, several replicas of him, and you know, when he made all the replicas, Yamaraj came, and Yamaraj, looking at, understood what is happening, and immediately, what he said, this replica has a defect. He's just pointing it to one replica, and then he told, this replica has a defect. This doesn't, seem, maybe, you know, this is the original person. And immediately the original person cannot take it up. How can whatever I made has a defect? It should never be like that. Then immediately he walked out of that replica's pose, and then he said, no, this doesn't have any defect. Immediately Avraj understood who is the original person, and then he took away that person. So the only thing why I'm saying is that to invoke the mercy of the Lord is to just understand this one thing, that we are not qualified, we are fortunate. That's, we are just fortunate that we are here, and because of that, whatever mercy that is coming to our lives, I always remember that mercy you can realize in your own life, what how Dhruv Maharaj is quoting the past life, how before and how now. I don't have any music sense. When I start singing, the pujaris in the Detroit temple will run away from the altar. Come and tell me, Prabhu, I cannot even focus on the arti. So, just because of the mercy of the Lord, and especially prayers from His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu, I could do something, whatever tangible thing. But if we don't remember, the mercy of the Lord, then we will lose the value of what we have received in this life for us. Just because um, we have got something, and if we don't treasure that, what we have achieved by our or by the spiritual master, by the Lord's mercy, whatever we have received, we will lose that. To keep that mercy with us, one important thing is to have gratitude for whatever we have received in our spiritual life, because the gratitude actually reminds us uh, the Lord's mercy. We always forget the gratitude that whatever we have received in our lives, how we were before Krishna consciousness, what we were doing. If Prabhupada is not coming to West and giving this wonderful knowledge, where we would be completely gone. We may be successful in life, we may be attaining money, we may be attaining name and fame, but what is the purpose of life, right? As we talked about it, the purpose of life is not to attain all of these things. If the purpose of life is to attain all of these things, we can never carry these things at the time of death. That itself proves that is not the purpose of life, to attain name, fame, whatever it is. That is why we always have to treasure the mercy that we have received in our lives. Seva service attitude opens the heart to receive the Lord's mercy. Gratitude is the one that attracts the Supreme Lord's mercy. Who gave you this chanting process? Who helped you in chanting? who helped you in understanding that you are not this body, your spirit soul. So many people have worked, have prayed for all of us. And that's why we are here. But because of our ignorant attitude, that we forget what we have received from the Supreme Lord. Also, how Srila Prabhupada has received the Supreme Lord's mercy through his um, following his Guru's instructions. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Shri Gaura Karuna Sakti Vigrahaya Namaste. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is personified energy of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Personified energy of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Because how Srila Prabhupada is writing here, this Lord's mercy is coming through the internal potency of the Lord, Srimati Radharani. The same Srimati Radharani is taken the birth in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Lord Krishna comes in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then giving this the Hare Krishna Mahamantra for all of us to engage us in his Nam Seva so that we can purify our senses and experience the spiritual senses, bring enliven our spiritual senses. With that spiritual senses, we can get the mercy of the Supreme Lord, completely experience the mercy of the Supreme. That revelation has to happen. How without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Supreme Lord. Any amount of philosophical speculation or poetic expression by mundane persons is still considered to be the action and reaction of the material energy. If one is having a good karma, he may have that knowledge to speak, but there is no revelation by the spiritual energy. If the revelation of the spiritual energy is not there, you cannot actually offer the prayers glorifying the Supreme. That is what happened to Dhruv Maharaj. He sincerely, first he got the mercy of the spiritual master, and then with the determination, he executed the instruction of the spiritual master, and then now he got the mercy of the Supreme Lord directly, and by accepting the mercy of the Supreme Lord, the verses now starts from here. Dhruv Maharaj is glorifying the Supreme Lord. That is what I could add today. Please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong or inappropriately, or please do correct me. My knowledge is limited, and still my senses are still sleeping. So with that, I may have spoken something. Anything you would like to add? Hare Krishna, we are ending here. If we don't have any questions here. Okay. This great HG Nandniketan Prabhu is asking over the Zoom if you have any questions. We can discuss, otherwise we can end the call. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice class. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Can you call him?